Hello, everybody, and welcome back for another episode. Today, we will be talking apocalypse past, and these spheres might actually play a part in telling us what that event was. So, let's dig into that. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is there's been a debate recently looking into geology and what we're told are naturally forming natural formations like hills and mountains. And the debate is, are some of these, or maybe even all, according to some, are they actually engineered structures? And there's been an event, a destructive event in our past, which has sort of transformed them, turned them into what we see today. We've been told lies about it. Is that possible? Now, I just wanted to, and that's what we're going to talk about today, and I just wanted to talk about the Bosnian Pyramid just real quick, because this is an example of something that was assumed to be a natural formation, but later turned out to be an engineered structure. So that's just one example, and I wanted to bring this up too. These, what you're looking at, one of these is considered officially a mountain, and the other one is considered a pyramid. They're both from Egypt. Now, can you tell, if you had to guess, which one would you think is the pyramid? Give you a second to think about it, and here comes the answer. The one on the right is the pyramid. Now, if I had to guess, not knowing, not having looked it up, I would have guessed that the structure on the left was actually the pyramid. And this is considered a mountain, but I believe it translates to, the name for it, I believe, translates to Pyramid Mountain. Now, there's just way too many straight lines and right angles for me to not think this is an engineered structure. Like, I don't even know how they get away with calling this just a mountain. It seems pretty obvious to me that there's more going on with this structure, or with this mountain, sorry. I believe it to be an engineered structure. Something happened, and I want to talk about that. What that event was, I think we might have some insight into that. But again, so this is just an example here of what we're going to be talking about today. Now, getting back to these spheres, in and around the Bosnian Pyramid and complex, and in that area, they find these giant spheres, some not so big, but this is, I believe, I think this is the largest one, or one of the largest ones, and they speculate it weighs over 30 tons. Now, there is an official explanation as to what we're seeing. Now, so the official explanation calls these concretions, and a concretion is a hard, compact mass of matter, and it's found in sedimentary rock or soil. So I guess this would be an example where it's found in soil. Now, here is a beach in California called Bowling Ball Beach in California. And I should mention that these spheres or ovoids, they come in different shapes, but these concretions, they are harder than the materials that they're formed in. So what we're told is that they're formed inside of these natural formations, and through erosion, either water or wind, the erosion causes this separation, these sheer faces that you're seeing, and a portion of whatever was here before this effect happened slid away and eroded, but you're still left with these concretions. Now, so the official explanation all hinges on millions of years, water and wind erosion. But like other people have said before me, and I'm agreeing with them, I think this was an event that triggered all this. And I believe these concretions, they weren't formed through thousands, millions of years. I believe the event that I'm going to be talking about, the event is what it involves a heating event as well. It involves extreme heat, but I believe one of the side effects of this event is the formation of these concretions, and it also causes this effect where what we call cliffs and bluffs. So let me give you another example. Here's the Morokai boulders in New Zealand. So you got your spheres, these concretions. You have this bluff here, these cliffs, and so what I'm suggesting and what others have suggested is that there was an event that formed these cliffs, these bluffs, and a portion of whatever this was sort of melted and turned into the beach, basically. And these spheres would have been formed inside of that during this heating event. So I think instead of millions of years and natural erosion, I think it happened in I don't know if it was an instant, but in a short period of time. And you even find in China, there's this mysterious cliff that locals say lays eggs. And I believe this particular cliff is called Chandanya, and it's 65 feet long, almost 20 feet high. And it's got these concretions that are, part of it is exposed, and you see these concretions. And I mean, these things are forming right in this structure wall, in this formation. And when you look at it, I mean, I could see why people think these are bricks. That's the speculation, that this was structure, and what you're seeing is various bricks and brick lines, and I'm inclined to agree with a lot of what they're saying. It certainly looks like that. But here's just another, we're still looking at that same cliff, and here's that cliff. And again, a lot of right angles, a lot of straight lines. And I think these spherical objects that you're seeing, they're formed during this event that destroyed a lot of these things and caused the destruction. I think that's when these were formed. So they can explain these away officially. But then there's other times when when the spheres aren't by bodies of water, and they can't use natural, water erosion as an excuse. They claim it as a mystery. So here's an example from an article, Russia Beyond. Where on earth did these giant spherical stones come from? And you see these spheres, so it's a mystery, according to the mainstream. And these spheres, they're on this island called Champ Island. And these are the Champ Island spheres. And it's in Russia, but it is, I don't know if it's technically in the Arctic Circle, but it's probably pretty close. So here's Finland, Sweden, and there's an island chain here. And Champ Island is one of these islands. And here's just some people. I'm not sure what they're doing, but these spheres, they come in different sizes, and I believe this one's like 10 feet wide or 10 feet in diameter. And here's some more spheres on this island. And there's more mysterious spherical rocks in Kazakhstan. And this valley is full of these spheres of different sizes. And here's the location, Kazakhstan, the western portion of it, in a semi-desert area. You have these spheres, and if you didn't know, I'm sure you must have noticed, in the background there's a giant mountain, and it has a real interesting look. And I think the same event that is explained away, what you see with the spheres on the beach next to a cliff, I believe the exact same event is what's happening here. It's just here we're told it's a mystery. So let's take a look. We're going to look at this mountain real quick, and it's called Shirkala. And oddly enough, a tunnel can be used to access the summit, and I believe it's a little over 1,000 feet high. But I mean, wow. Okay, we're told this is a natural formation, but to me, again, these horizontal lines that are level that wrap around the structure, that doesn't seem natural. That doesn't seem natural at all. And it almost seems like the insides of, I believe this probably was a structure, the insides of it almost seems like they got cooked and they're just flowing. In addition to damage happening on the outside, the insides are just flowing out, and then it seems like they transformed into a liquid, and they start to flow, and then they solidified, and you got this just mess. It's just oozing out of this structure, and you have this chalky layer here. I would say, this was probably a structure, and through the event, whatever this event was, and we're going to talk about the event, it caused this heating and this transformation of the materials, and it forms those spheres, I believe, and those spheres probably just got dislodged from the structure and they were, like I said, I think they're created during the event. Now, again, too, if you look at the mysterious spheres of this Champ Island, again, a massive structure, we're told, is a mountain right behind it, and we have a bunch of debris here, material that's probably from this structure, and these probably during this event that we're going to outline here in a second, it formed these spheres, and this is what's left over, and this is what's left over of this heating event, I believe. And it also seems like there's bricks strewn about, and interesting. So what you're always going to find, these spheres in general, they're going to be either by a mountain or by hills, and or in the case of a beach, they're going to be by a cliff or a bluff. Like there's going to be something where they originated from one of these quote mountains or hills, which I do believe some of these things are structures. I do believe that. So now we're getting in. We're going to step on the gas a little bit here. There's a national park in North Dakota called Theodore Roosevelt National Park, and it's, as mentioned, it's western part of North Dakota, and there's a section of this national park which is just, I think it really starts to tell the tale of what happened during this heating event. Now, here you can see this whether it's a formation or structure, a portion of it just got cleaved off, and it turned into whatever this is. I don't know if that's sandstone now. I don't know. It changed to a liquid, then back to this. These spheres were formed, and that's all that's left. And this is a great shot too. You can kind of see here, like this is it. I don't know why during this event this was all sheared off, and it just all the way down and across turned in this section of whatever this formation or structure was. Just it liquefied, then it turned into it hardened again and turned into this. But so we get a good insight as to what this process can do. And again, I think what you're seeing on the left, as opposed to millions of years, wind, water erosion, there was an event that caused these cliffs, what we call cliffs, bluffs, to form. And a portion of this formation or structure, whatever it was, it liquefied, turned into the beach. These spheres were within that portion of the structure or formation, and they're left behind. And it's the same thing. It was one event, and here it's the same event. It's just there's no body of water, and we don't have any sand here. It's this was mid-process, I believe. And here's just one more shot, and again, it's like it's just all flowing down, and it's I can see why people too, like this ledge here, I can see why people are thinking this is a structure. There's some indicators. Okay, so now let's try and figure out what is the root cause of all this stuff. Is there a way to maybe try and figure that out? Well, I think there is. And I remember there's a topic. There's something referred to as the black mat layer, and geologists have noticed there's these bands of they refer to these bands as the black mat layer, and they've studied these bands, and they're what's interesting to me obviously is how horizontal they are. And here we go. When I see pictures like this, again, here's this black mat layer, and we're going to talk about what is inside. They've studied this layer, and I'm going to talk about that. But this is exactly what we're talking about. Cliffs, these bluffs, these cliffs are formed during this event. Portion of this formation or structure, it dissolves and turns into your sandstone, whatever else you see, the beach. And I think that's what's happening there. But so they've studied this black mat layer, and one of the things they found that what they found in that layer were these spheres, these spherules form. Now, these are tiny, but you can just imagine, I think this black mat layer is, when this heating event happens, these spheres are formed during that process. And depending, I don't know, depending on the amount of heat or the intensity of the event, depends on the size of these spheres. But so I think this is all tied in to these spheres that we're seeing, close to these structures, these cliffs, these bluffs. I think it's all tied in. And the black mat layer, these geologists who look for this, and they noticed most of them are in the western part of the United States. Now, this is sort of the clue that, to me, sort of led me to, I believe, find a potential answer to what we're seeing as to the cause. And it's because there's a phenomena that you see in the West, and that is branching electrical discharge patterns known as Lichtenberg figures. I did a video about this, talking about these electrical discharge patterns, and here, but people make these. You can get a piece of wood and get a microwave transformer, and you apply voltage to the piece of wood, and it starts forming these electrical discharge patterns. And here's just another photo image showing you that. Now, in the video I did called the Lichtenberg figures, this is in Egypt, and you can just see that, and the speculation is that electrical scarring is the cause, and we see it when you're on Google Earth, you can see evidence of electrical scarring, or what appears to be evidence of electrical scarring. And it's very similar. So this kind of really gave me another big clue as to trying to figure out what I think is going on. So getting back to Kazakhstan, I wanted to go to Google Earth and take a look at that area. And what I found was pretty interesting and exciting, actually. So this is that mountain, what it's called, the mountain now, Shirkala in Kazakhstan. Now, if you look around, this is all electrical discharge patterns. And the more of these, by the way, that you see in an area, the more uninhabited it's going to be in general. The more desert-like, uninhabited, But what you also notice is that with these electrical discharge patterns, they're pretty directional, and they're all headed towards this cliff. So the directionality is kind of interesting. And there, again, here's that mountain. I want to take a look at this section where the arrow's pointing to, because I think this really got me started to trying to really start to understand actually what I think we're seeing. So when you zoom in on this particular area, so you get all of these electrical discharge patterns, then there's a cliff formed, right? And then you have more electrical discharge patterns, and another cliff is formed. And then even from there, you have more electrical discharge patterns flowing. So now, at this point, it seemed pretty clear to me that this effect, this of creating these terraces, these cliff faces, is electrical discharge basically. And so there is another area that I want to look at, which is just going to really, I think, seal the case. And it's in this section over here. And I want to show you that real quick. But so I just wanted to measure one of these electrical discharge patterns. I don't know if it's a lightning strike or what it is, but I just wanted to measure it real quick. And I mean, we're looking at miles. So can you, like, that's beyond the scope, and that's just what we can see. But just the size of these things. So it's no wonder this area is so uninhabitable. But so we're going to zoom in on, so we're going to look into this area here. So I've highlighted it. And so again, all the electrical discharge patterns are headed towards these cliffs. So when we zoom in on it, it's interesting because you have all these terraces forming. And what I wanted to point out here is you see this process started and then it stopped, and you could see where it was going to continue. But so in my mind, again, the electrical discharge is creating this phenomena, this terrace, what we would probably call terraces. These cliffs are formed in this stepped manner by this event. And check, this is great. Again, the same area, all of these stepped plateaus, and then the process stops here, and then here again. It's being formed, boom, and then it stops here. And then it starts a little bit up again here. But I just mean, like, wow. It's clear as day that all this electrical discharge it's creating this effect, this terraced effect that we're seeing. And I don't know, I thought that pretty much is pretty indicative to me. Now let's take it back to the western United States. We're going to take a look at the Colorado Plateau, which encompasses 4 states. Now they tell us wind and water erosion have shaped the Colorado Plateau with flat-topped mesas. But what I'm saying, it's electrical discharge. And this is the Colorado Plateau. And again, this area got hit the worst, but electrical discharge patterns just all over the place. This whole in the Grand Canyon would be down here somewhere, or just off screen. But so this whole area is full of these electrical discharges. And what do you see? The terraced effect, right? We see this all throughout this area. And it's the area that has the most electrical discharge phenomena associated with it. So I think it's a pretty good indicator that it's this event was triggered. What we're seeing here is not mining operations. I don't believe that at all. It's all this electrical discharge is what caused it, and it's what caused this, and even this effect. You see this it reminds me of what you see in Petra. So let's have another look at another area in Canada, Horseshoe Canyon, Drumheller. It's in Alberta, Canada. And so look at this giant Lichtenberg figure. I'm talking massive. So there's this canyon, Horseshoe Canyon. So I wanted to zoom in on that real quick and just look at all this. It's just the earth has been just scoured by this, and it appears that the electrical discharge, these connected with each other. But so what would you expect to see? Now we've established a pattern. Will we see those terraces and that same effect? Well, yeah, it's the exact same thing. And I think it's the same event. It's causing all of this. In wherever you see those massive electrical discharges, you're probably going to see these, whether they're formations or structures, you're going to see they're going to look like this. Now let's take it back to that Theodore Roosevelt National Park in North Dakota. And again, that looks like this. So would we find evidence of a electrical discharge Lichtenberg figure? Well, what do you know? Here's this river flows and down here, and you can see that this national park is tucked right in. Hopefully it's coming through here, but this is all one big Lichtenberg figure, electrical discharge, and I just wanted to measure the length of it, and it's like 60 miles long. And this national park is tucked in there nicely, and I believe it's over 20 miles wide. So the pattern holds true. And so what you're seeing here is, I believe this event was triggered by all this electrical discharge, and it creates this effect, which is odd. And these spheres are a byproduct of it. This liquefaction, this melting is a byproduct. And it makes you look at places like Machu Picchu with all its terraces a bit differently. This effect, I believe, is the exact same effect. Probably what you're seeing with Machu Picchu as well. So, yeah, I was excited about this one because very rarely do we ever actually get any answers for anything. And it's always good just to sort of piece at least something together. So I guess that's all I have for today, but I wish you well, and until next time, take care. Bye.